Hello, welcome to another episode of Get Out of Your Shell with your host, Natty B. And today we have a very special guest, and I am truly honored to have my dear friend for, I guess, over 20 years, my dear friend Jose.
2004 is when we met.
2004. I wanted to bring him into our podcast. I know I interviewed him in 2019.
2019. Pre-COVID.
Pre-COVID. He was in another time, I think, and he's going to tell us more about it. But I want you to help us and to guide us we want to learn in this podcast from stories and from things that happen so we can grow and get better. And Jose went through a lot. So I want you, Jose, to talk to us today about your life. What happened to you 2022, 23, 24, after all that in your personal life, spiritual life, health-wise, on everything. So where do we want to start?
Well, first of all, I want to say, Nati, that I want to give thanks. I want to give thanks to God because without Him, I would be nothing. And none of us would be anything at all.
Thank you.
So I want to thank God for that because I always held on to Him during my trials and tribulations, and He always brought me through. So thank you.
Amen.
Thank you, my God. Thank you, my Lord.
Yes, there we go.
And I want to dedicate this podcast, and I know that it's your podcast, and I thank you for inviting me.
You're welcome. Yes.
I've known you for such a long time, and you have a piece of my heart and soul. And but I want to dedicate this podcast to two entities that aren't here on this earth anymore, and that would be my baby Mercy, which was my little dog, my little black toy poodle, and my friend Jess.
Okay.
And I wanted to dedicate this whole podcast to both of them because I know that they are up with God and they're looking down on me and they're watching over me. Mm-hmm. So that's what I want to say first. So
ready?
Let's see, where did it all begin? So I remember last time that we did the podcast in 2019, I had different views about everything. Okay. I mean, my life had been a great life and I had no complaints. And I think that I told you this before, I don't really ask God for anything, whether it's material or non-material. I really don't ask Him anything because He's given me so much. Of course. He gives me so much without me even asking for it, that I don't have to ask.
So tell us how your life has changed. What happened?
So first of all, I fell in love.
Okay.
I remember on the last podcast I said that I did not believe in, falling in love.
Yeah.
And
what happened?
Let me tell you, months after that podcast,
okay.
In December of 2020, it was December 23rd of 2020, I met the love of my life.
Okay.
And I say the love of my life because even though we're not together, it's a love that I cannot replace. It's a love that I'll probably have in my heart forever, even though we can't be together or even though we're not together.
Okay, so what happened? Why can you not be together?
Well, when I first saw him, I fell in love with him at first sight.
Okay.
So there was nothing that he could say or do to deter me from what I felt because it was just what I felt. I had, people say you have control over love, and I sort of believe that. Once you realize that you love somebody, you can sort of control it and manage it, but you have to live with it. I had an image in my head, like of the person that I would, if I ever fell in love. Mind you, I'll tell you, it took me 50-something years to fall in love. I had never been in love. So when I see this person for the first time, it's like no other feeling that I've ever had. And it just...
So was it what they did, what they told you, or...
It was just that I had that image in my head of the person, what they looked like. Okay. So I created an image in my head. Okay. And when I saw this person, he was that image.
So in other words, it sounded to me like you were visualizing
I visualized
and manifested this person into your life.
You think I manifested him? You
I
think? Yeah.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so. If I will say 95%, you did.
Yeah.
That's what I think. If you say you visualized,
Yeah.
you thought about the person, how this person was going to be, that's what I think. But tell us more. And then what happened? So he's gone right now.
So he's gone.
Okay.
I mean, he's not. I mean, he's still around.
He's around, but he's not in your life no
He's
more.
not in my life anymore.
What did you learn from the experience?
It
was good and bad, I'm assuming.
It was good. It was bad, and it was ugly. I love myself more, and I knew that
if you continue,
if I continued, my life would have gotten really bad.
It was going to be
worse.
So that's very interesting what he said. He loves himself more, and which you should do that, because if it has to start with us. And I'm so happy and grateful that you did that.
Well,
and that's why you're here today, because it could have been another route. So that happened in 2020.
I was just waiting for him to decide to come back, and he did, and that's where my sort of I want to call it like my little hell started.
Okay.
You know, it's very difficult for me to say about somebody. I believe that there are people that build things, create things, and then I believe that there are people that all they do is destroy and want to tear down. He turned into a person that I didn't know.
Okay, so was he psychologically mentally not there? Was he on drugs? Was he on alcohol? Was he having not a good...
He started using drugs again.
Okay.
And that's where I saw his demon. Okay. You know, drugs are a very powerful thing because it manifests like, to me, the way I see it, it's like a demon that wants to take a hold of you.
And it does.
And once it takes a hold of you, I have yet to hear a story that is believable to me where they can actually get rid of it. I can't even imagine it, because what I went through with this person was horrible. You know, it was horrible. I was damaged, that I was being damaged, you know, my spirit, my soul, my total being was, you know, he damaged it. You know, he damaged it quite a bit. But I realized that this was happening, and I seeked mental help.
Okay.
Because I knew that it all starts with the mind. You know, it's the way you look at it, the way you think about it, the way you know, I knew that my mind was going to end up suffering, you know.
So that must have been pretty bad for you to even just go and seek for some help, right?
Yes, because my whole life had been great until I fell in love. And then
with the wrong person.
I don't want to say the wrong person.
Okay.
I want to say that
the wrong moment.
Maybe the wrong moment, and maybe it was the fact that he just hasn't been ready.
Okay.
Because he has all the other demons that he needs to get rid of first.
Okay.
So
then you left.
I had to leave my apartment because it got really bad. It got to the point where, you know, he would show up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning.
Just a toxic relationship.
You know, it was toxic. And, you know, I called the police, which, by the way, and I don't like to talk bad about our public servants, but the police, he would always leave before the police got there. The police would get there. The first time I called the police, I remember it was like 3 hours later. And I'm like, okay, I'm still waiting, you know. But
it's pretty sad the way
and I don't want to blame it on like the police themselves. I know that they have more important cases that they.
But you're important too.
Yes, I'm important too, but.
And you're paying taxes too.
Yeah, but I can handle.
Then what happened?
Then I had moved back with my little dog. So Mercy.
Mercy.
So Mercy stayed a lot with my.
Who's Mercy?
Mercy's my little dog, and I had to put her to sleep on March 26th of 2024.
Okay.
And it was the hardest thing that I had to do.
Devastating.
I ended up going to work one day. She was at my parents' house where I was staying, but she was in my room by herself, and she had a seizure.
Okay.
And I couldn't see her on the camera, and I couldn't wait to get home. All of this stuff that's going on, even though that I seek mental health and I started talking to a therapist, it built up a lot of anxiety in me, a lot. I mean, I had never suffered from anxiety my whole life. So I got home from work that day, and she was laying there scared. I said, "What's going on, baby?" And so she looked at me scared, and I said, "It's okay." And I picked her up, and this is how much I loved her. And so I worked in fragrances, and you have to dress a certain way, and so I was wearing this really nice suit and nice shoes, but all I could think of is that I have to get my baby clean, because I want her to be okay. So I filled up the tub with water. The whole time I was holding her, I kept telling her everything was going to be okay. And I just went into the tub with her with suit, shoes. I didn't care. I didn't care because this is my baby, and I wanted her to be okay.
So Jose, one of the things, just thought about it, and I wanted to ask you, and I thought about it right now. This is the perfect time. One of the things that I really admire from Jose is that Jose is a friend that never asks for anything, and he gives everything. And here's a prime example where he goes on the tub, Mercy's there, and he's like, "I'm in my suit, in a very nice suit," and I go in there. And then he'll tell us a little bit more of another person that he took care of. But how is it that you give without even thinking, and people have done you wrong many times, and you're still there, and you're still strong. And I know you at the beginning said, God has been with you all along, but there are times that you get beat up, and you still get up because you went through a lot. And this is just a little bit of what you went through in the past years. How do you manage to do that? What do we do?
When I fall in love with somebody, whether it's the person that I fell in love with, whether it's my little baby, that love never goes away. And before anything else, I put them first. I consider myself to be like a strong person. I'm fragile, but I'm strong. And it's one time my mom said that falling in love with the person that I did was a mistake, and it's not a mistake. I don't believe it's a mistake. I believe that I fell in love with them for a reason, and even if it was just to to help them out a little and to shine a little light on them for a moment, because life is made up of moments, and once the moment is gone, you can't bring it back. We say love wins, and it does. It wins. In my heart, it always wins. In my heart and in my soul, and the way I was brought up, in the church, like love always wins. It does. It does because at the end of the day, you did something good for someone, and you helped them out in their time of need, and you go on.
Yes. And I also love the fact that you say, I love myself also first, but what you mean is also that whenever you're in danger, you love yourself so much that you're gonna give away.
You have
but
to.
you know how to balance that, and that's something very admirable from you. I mean, I really admire that. So you said you put Mercy to sleep, unfortunately, and I know you love Mercy and beautiful, and it's gone, and then time passes by, and now you meet somebody new.
Okay,
Tell me about that.
Before that, I want to tell you that in order to heal from my Mercy, and I did not realize this at first, but to even heal from the relationship that I had with that person, I had to leave. I had to.
Yeah, because you disappear for a while, and I'm like, where's my friend?
I have a friend that tells me, she said, she looked at me one day and she said, you hear people leaving their house to go to another house because they don't want to deal with the memories, because they have to heal. And she told me, you moved all the way to a different country.
Yeah.
And I did.
I mean, you were gone. You literally were gone,
Yeah.
and he went to another country.
Yeah.
Is that he was just gone? So,
I had
so
to.
then all this happens. You're like, this is crazy. The love of my life, and then I lost
My
Mercy,
baby.
and I'm having situations at home, and you're like, you know what? I'm packing. I'm leaving.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
and
just,
then what happens?
So all of a sudden, you know, I started having family problems, you know, and I find myself leaving my home
Okay.
where my parents' home.
Okay.
When I say my home, I've always lived with my parents.
Okay.
I've always lived with my parents because I knew that I was probably never going to ever live with anybody else because of the way that I felt about falling in love. Well, when I fell in love is when I decided to move out, and it didn't work out for me, so I'm back at the house. So I had to leave. I moved all the way to Monterrey, and because I had to mentally and physically and spiritually and emotionally get myself together, and I couldn't do it here because everything was going to remind me of my Mercy and the two loves of my life so far, you know. And I said, okay, so I have a friend in Monterrey. Her name is Sonia, and she's...
Hi, Sonia.
Hi, Sonia. She's a very good friend. I remember I called the therapist, and I said, I just lost Mercy. And she said, come in. She said, for an emergency session. And my therapist is so good. She's so good. And I went in, and I talked to her. I don't know whether I felt better because I was still in my pain, but then later on as the days went by, I started to understand what she was saying, you know. So it's always good to have, and you know,
somebody to talk to.
So there's, like I said, there's two kinds of people. There's the people that build things and uplift people, and then there's the people that bring you down.
You know what I call it? I call it they're either an asset or liability.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, is this gonna cause me trouble? This is gonna add into my life and lift me up.
So my family didn't understand. You know, I've always been strong. I've always happy, but
joyful.
But then I tell myself I was so damaged because here I am giving all this love and all this and everything that I can, you know, but the people that are closest to me, because they don't understand, they push it away. You know what I'm saying? They don't think that I should be going through all of this because, well, you're better than that. You know, but it's not that.
Yeah.
It's not that.
You're human, you feel. I mean, there's things that we don't know.
Yeah,
we know how the person feels.
So I couldn't go to my family and talk to them about it because they don't want to hear it. You know, and at that moment, I didn't realize how strong it was making me because I felt defeated. I felt like, here I am feeling all of this, and I can't even express it to the people that I love, which is my family, you know. God is good because I have a lot of friends.
God is good.
I have a lot of friends.
God is
and
good.
my friend. By the following Thursday, I called my brother and told him to get rid of everything. That was Thursday morning. Thursday night, I called him and I said, how much are you selling my car for? He said, what car? It's already sold. He had sold everything in one day.
Oy.
At least he helped me with that, you know. So anyway, so having said that, one of the things about Mercy is that my biggest pain was that I had to put another living thing. I had to decide to put her to sleep. It was very hard for me because I believe in life. I believe, but her life wasn't going to have any quality after that, you know. So I decided, and talking to the people at the animal hospital, which is a great animal hospital, and I love all those people to death, and I'm going to tell you why. I asked, I said, would this be the right time? Wait a minute. I didn't ask. My brother asked because he saw what we were going through, and he asked the doctor, the doggy doctor, if it would be the best time to put her to sleep. And she looks at me and she said, it would be the kindest, most humane thing that you can do. And even though those words were so nice and so sweet, they tore me apart.
Of course.
So So I asked her to let me hold her and let me be with her. And I held her, and they put her to sleep, and I just held her as long as I could. I don't know how long it was, but I just, she was lit, you know, she was gone. And my thing was that, remember, I had stopped working, so I didn't have a lot of money. And my brother told me that the only thing he could do is pay the amount that he had to pay to put her to have her cremated, but I wasn't gonna be able to bring her home because they were gonna, you know, they're gonna do something good with the ashes. They're gonna spread around the tree. Before I leave to Monterrey, I called. Mercy was a little diva. I mean, she, you know, I fed her house food. I cooked for her. I mean, you know, the time that I had her, you know, she was my baby, you know, so I spoiled her. She didn't even think she was a really dog, like a real dog. I mean, we would go to the dog hospital. She would bark at all the dogs. I'm like, these dogs are bigger than us. They're going to bite us. They're going to eat us up, and you're barking, you know.
She was a happy baby.
Yeah, she was a happy baby. But she loved humans, but she didn't like other dogs and cats, you know. So anyway,
what did they
so
say?
I left that place
Okay.
with such a broken heart.
Okay.
You know, I had to decide to put her to sleep. I had to, basically, I wasn't going to be able to bring her home because I didn't have the money to bring her home at that time. And she had a special nurse. Her special nurse name is Vix, V-I-X. She said, you're going to be happy. But I didn't understand what the words meant still because I was still in my pain. And I said, okay. I said, I'm going to Monterrey. She said, when you come back, call me. Make sure you call me. I call her and I say, hey, you know, I'm back. I got there to the animal hospital, and she gives me a little blue bag.
Okay.
With my baby in it, with her ashes, with her paw print. This is something that cost the money that I didn't have when I left. When I put her to sleep, I didn't have $350. And she said she was too much of a diva for her not to go home.
Oh, goodness. Woo!
And I brought her home.
Oh, my
Thanks to her. Thanks to Vix. And a shout out to Vix and to the animal hospital. They're great people.
Hi,
They're
Vic.
great people. When I get to Monterrey, I'm, you know, I feel good, but I'm tired from the trip, and I'm tired of everything that I've gone through. And Sonia, my friend, she hears me coming down the stairs, and I'm crying, and she said, let's go to your room. And she takes me by the hand, and she lays in bed with me, and she holds me like a baby. She holds me like a baby. That's when I start to heal. She did that the first night, and she did not leave for anything. She just held me. I didn't sleep, but just knowing that she was there holding me, it meant a lot to me.
Well, yeah, I'm sorry, Jose. Your world started to crumble with Mercy, with this other person, the love of your life, family situation at home, left your job, went to another country. So a lot of parts of your life just started like going down. And tell me about, because you went through a lot now to that point, right, through those years. So then and I'm sure it did, but tell me how the therapy helped. Sonia was amazing, just holding you. I mean, that love helped. You know, giving you Mercy back. It really, I mean, you have her back help. Tell me how all that contribute to your healing process. Did that?
So the therapist, I was still talking to my therapist in Mexico. I actually, you know, I went somewhere where I could start healing, you know, like through meditation.
Okay, good.
And therapy and stuff. My boss calls me from here, and it was May of 2024, and she says, hey, she says, are you going to come down? She goes, I know that you're still healing, but I need you. I need you to work. you know. And this is my boss Anissa, and I love her to death because she understood a lot of what was going on, and maybe she didn't understand to the full extent, but she accepted it and she was okay with it. You know what I'm saying? And I love her. Hi, Anissa. In case you see this, and she probably will.
Hi,
But
Anissa.
anyway, so
just
so
let me go
because
back to work.
Anissa and me talk, I
You
come back here.
Okay. And you start now working.
And
in
I
the
well,
fragrance
I work
again.
because fragrance season is only like 5 months out of the year, so I
Okay.
start working here and there. Well, you've known me for over 20 years, and I'm not a regular person. I'm not. I mean, I could be crazy one minute, you know, and I mean, I could tell you, hey, Gloria Trevi is coming to South Beach, and all of a sudden me and Addie are over there, and we're getting, you know, we're having some drinks, and all of a sudden, boom, a drink on the floor, and then we look at it, and we're like, ha 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 ha, you know? That actually happened.
That's our little secret. So Jose, all this situation happened. You go to Monterrey.
I come back,
They
I
call you
start
back
working.
for the fragrance season, but you come back and everything's sold. You have nowhere to stay really because your mom is. These are the rules. This is what needs to happen. Your family is like, well, it's gonna be this way or the highway, and so you're kind of like, okay, I'm here, but where do I stay?
Yeah.
What do I do?
So the thing about that, and a lot of people, I don't tell a lot of people this because it's, you know, my family believes in keeping secrets the way the old people used to do, but I don't believe in keeping secrets. My mom told me one day, in Spanish saying que la ropa se lava en casa, la ropa sucia se lava en casa. I don't believe that. Whatever happens, you have to take care of it right there.
At the moment.
At the moment. Because if you wait, what's going to happen? You're not going to be able to wear that pretty outfit anymore.
And look, we're wearing.
I
was gonna wear something else, which I had already been had it on, but I watched. I said, hey, you know what? Let me wear my.
Yeah,
my
it's
other.
that's how I see it. It's like you know, you air it out when you have to.
Yeah.
You know, you in the moment.
At the moment. It's
Because if you wait, you're not even gonna remember that you spilled wine on that nice outfit, and then it's gonna stay in there, you know, and then you're never gonna be able to get it out, and you'll never be able.
So,
to wear it.
in other words, things that happen, you gotta fix them at the moment or talk about it at the moment. Because if you don't, and another thing that can happen, Jose, whenever we have some kind of emotion that is affecting us, if we don't resolve it at the moment or as soon as possible, it becomes a resentment. And then a resentment to the other person, and we don't want that. We don't want to have that, and I think that's one of the reasons also that you just transmit love because you know what? If there's a problem, you talk about it, you get it done, and then you continue because that's the way you
so
feel supposed
you
to.
have to be really careful when you talk about problems, and I'm going to tell you why. Because people see them different ways, and there's different ways of thinking and different ways of resolving that same problem.
Okay.
So the way I see it is that you have to take care of it right away, and as long as you know and speak your truth, then there's nothing to hide. I can speak my truth, and I can say my truth, and I can believe my truth. And if somebody comes to me and says, well, I think it happened this way, and then I'll say, show me. Show me how it happened different. Because if I'm wrong, I'm the first one that'll say I'm wrong. And so Mercy was one of the entities that I wanted to, dedicate this podcast. The second one is to Jess, Zachary, and the Zachary family. I leave my home in April.
Okay.
And of course, I don't know where I'm going.
April 2025.
2025. I don't know where I'm going, So I in order to tell just a story, I have to go back to February of 2025. And I meet him in February. I meet him on February 22nd of 2025. He's 26 years old. He's a beautiful kid. He has a beautiful spirit. When I meet him, Nati.
Where do you meet him?
I meet him at where I'm working in fragrances.
The fragrances.
Yeah.
Okay, you meet him there.
In one of the stores in one of the malls. So something when I meet him and and we start to talk, there's something that just comes over me, like some kind of feeling, and I don't know how to explain it because it's unexplainable. It's just something that some way somehow I felt like I known him my whole life, but I know that I haven't. But at the same time, that I had to be in his life, right? It's like an instant thing, and I go home and I think about him. Hey, this is sort of weird. I don't even tell him my real name.
Okay.
I tell him it is a name that I use, but I told him my name was Vic.
Okay.
Right? He calls me. He tells me he's in the hospital, and I don't even think about it. I say, you know what? Send me the address. I'm on my way. And I had just gotten out the shower at the hotel, and I was, getting dressed. So I go to the hospital where he's at in the emergency room, and they already have him in a room. I said, I'm going to take care of you. I said, and I explained to him, I said, I've never been in the hospital, thank God, but the way I've seen other patients, the nurses are going to do their job. The doctors are going to do their job. But anything extra that you might need, or anything extra that somebody like me that loves his friend wants to do for him, they're not going to be able to do, or they're not going to want to do, or they're going to find it hard to even, think about what it is that just wants, right? Yeah. So I told him, okay, I'm going to stay with you night and day. And that happened, and I stayed with him, and we went through a lot. And then, real quick, because if I get emotional, we're not going to finish this story, but he's in the hospital for, I don't know, maybe a week, a little over a week. Okay. And he has surgery. Okay. And then, he's brand new. Okay. Right? And he has this glow. And if you would have known, Jess, you would have seen how he grabs attention everywhere. He's a lot like me, but yeah, he's a lot like me. Because everywhere we go, we say hi to everybody. Okay. He said hi to everybody. I mean, they would roll him out of the room in the bed, and he would it was like a pageant. Yeah. He's like that. I think that's what attracted me to him. And when I say attraction, it's like, that's what let me know that I had to be part of his life. Okay. The kind of love that I love just in so many ways. At the end of the day, if I think about it, if I really, really put it into words, I loved him like a son. He was 26 years old, and he needed help. And
you stayed there.
I stayed there, and I helped him. And when
he got operated,
he got his surgery.
He was still there.
Well, he left. I think it was the following day after surgery. The day after
he left.
A day or two after, and he was fine. Okay. He was happy. He was good, and the next 2 days, he seemed to be really happy. Oh, okay. So we left on a Friday night. Okay. Saturday and Sunday, I felt like they were like really happy days for him. We went to Target. We went wherever he wanted to go. I took him. I remember that his dad, where he was living on that Sunday night, brought over to where we were staying all of his belongings. He went to that person's house that Jess was staying with. He brought over his belongings, and his dad is. I love his dad. I love his dad because just for being who he is and how he is, he loved Jess so much.
So then tell me what happens.
So
he gets ill
again? that was Saturday and Sunday. Sunday night he does that. Monday afternoon, he's not himself now. He's starting to feel
a few days later.
Yeah, and so he gets out of the hospital Friday. Saturday and Sunday are good days. Monday he starts, he starts getting sick. Monday night, it was like, it just was really funny. He would say, "Take me to the hospital," and then he would say, "No, I'm fine." And so I'm dressed and I'm thinking, we have to go to the hospital. Let's go to the hospital. Just come on. Right. And he's like, no, I'm fine. But I knew he wasn't.
Right. So then you took him when?
So that was Monday night. The next day, I took him into the ER. Okay. This is where it gets a little difficult for me, but I'm going to get through it because I have to. Because I want to tell his story. Tuesday he goes into the emergency room, and they they start taking care of him, and it's bad. It's a little bad. Yeah, a lot of bad. And I want to be careful with what I say, because a lot of the things that I might say now, I have never said to his dad or his family, because I love them so much that I didn't want to. Break their hope, break the hope that they had that just would still be here, and I want to tell you guys that I love you with all my heart and soul, and that if at some point you hear something that I've kept from you, it was only to not have you hurting. So, having said that, and I know they love me, and I know they're gonna understand. That was Tuesday. Wednesday, he's finally up in the room, and his dad is there, and they gave him some medication. The medication is supposed to calm him down, but it it makes him it does the
worse or something.
And I'm standing over him, and I don't remember exactly what I'm doing, but he looks at me. All of a sudden, he's still, and he looks at me, and he says, "I smell it." And then I said, "What are you talking about?" And I think I was wiping him down or something. And he said, "I smell death." His dad says, "It's just an infection. They're gonna take care of it." And I said, "Yeah, Jess." So I tell him, and I said, "Promise me you're not gonna die. Promise me you're not gonna die, Jess." I don't know if his dad heard me, but he doesn't say it. He doesn't promise. He sort of wants to mouth it, So, anyway, we go back to a little bit normal for a few minutes, and his dad has to leave because he lives far.
Has to work or whatever.
He lives far too. Okay. So, his dad leaves, and as soon as his dad leaves, just says, "Can you please take me a shower?"
You're like, okay.
I'm like, yes.
Okay.
I can't at this moment, something inside of me, my mind, my heart, my soul, it wants to say yes to everything that he's asking for, right? Okay. So I say yes. So, I called the nurse in, Brittany. Brittany was a wonderful nurse and a friend of mine, and of his too. Comes in. I said, "Could you please start disconnecting him? I'm going to go turn on the shower, make sure that the temperature's fine and everything." And so when I come back, I basically, Jess is still laying down. So he's weak, he's very weak. And so he can't really walk on his own and stuff like that. He needs help. So I lift him off the bed, and I take the gown off of him, his hospital gown. And, I got so used to seeing that boy in the nude that it's but he was sick, and I had to take care of him, and this is where I realized that I love him like a son, like he's part of me, right? If his dad couldn't be there, I was glad to be there because therefore right. So halfway into the shower, he stops, he like all of a sudden he pauses, and he turns and he looks at me and he says, "I love you," and then I said, "I love you too. And that's why I'm going to get you clean." I get him in the shower, and there's a little bench, and I set him on the bench, and I'm holding him chest to chest, and I grab the hose, and I put the water on him, and I say, "How's the temperature?" And he's like, "Perfect." When I put the water on him and he says, "Perfect," I experienced something that I never experienced in my whole life, and that's when he goes. I'm looking at him, and the way I see it, it's like in slow motion, at that moment. He turns yellow, and his eyes roll back in his head. And because I'm holding him chest to chest, I feel his heart stop, and he stops breathing. And I don't panic, but I tell him, "Just don't do this to me, come back." And the only thing I could think of was to blow air into his mouth, because he's not breathing.
Did you think he fainted or that he was gone?
No. And I'm going to tell you why. This is a part that I haven't really told a lot of people. It's only been a few people. When this happens, when I'm holding him, I literally feel something pull me from the top of my head. And I believe that it was his spirit that was leaving his body. I've never really said this to his family because what happens after this, it's precious to me, you know. And again, I'll tell the Zachary family that I love them every day, and they know it, and just as mom and dad and stepmom and everybody that I met that's part of Jess know that I love all of them the way I love Jess. You know, they became my family. So when this happens, the only thing I could think of was to scream out to the nurse, and I said, "Brittany, this isn't normal," because I knew that what happened just now was not normal. At least it wasn't normal because I had never seen it. So she pushes a button, and from there on, like, all of a sudden there's like 20 nurses in the bathroom, and 2 nurses start guiding me out. But what I do remember is that the head nurse, and I forget his name, he was a wonderful person, he said pulse, because he was letting everybody know that he's checking the pulse, and there's no pulse. So at this moment I realized that I have to call his dad back. His dad just left, so I call and I say, "Hey, please come back." And I think and I think his words were, "Did something happen?" I said yes, and then I think his next the question was, "Is it bad?" And then I said, "Please come back." So when Jess's dad gets there, they're rolling him out of the room, but he has all these tubes, and that's when he starts the artificial life support. As much as I wanted to say it to his dad, I couldn't. I couldn't because I didn't want to break his heart.
Very special.
And I couldn't tell him exactly what happened. I couldn't tell him what I felt. I couldn't tell him what I knew happened because he had hope. And I wanted to have the same hope, you know, and everybody wanted to have the same hope. Just never woke up. He still underwent 3 more surgeries because they had to find out what was going on with him. And I remember it's funny, this is the Wednesday before Easter Sunday on 2025. I have to put Mercy to sleep the Tuesday before Easter Sunday in 2024. I don't know whether it means something. I haven't been enlightened to if it means something, but I feel like it does for some reason. Easter Sunday comes and they do the last surgery because they have to find out what's going on with him, you know. And so at that moment is when the surgeon comes out and tells basically his dad and the family and all that, you know, there's nothing else they could do for them. So what happened is that he went septic, I think, and I think that's the right word. And so his internal organs were, you know, they were basically like rotting out. Especially his intestines. So on Easter Sunday, his dad decided to disconnect him, and he made the right choice. I felt like it had to be that way.
Ay, Jose. I mean, so many things. This happens, you lose Jess and Mercy, and you went through very difficult situations.
So all of a sudden, I'm like thinking, what is going on?
Okay.
You know? Okay. And I just want to I want everything to stop. I want the pain to stop. I want the...
What did you do for things now to change? Because now you're here and you look fabulous.
Let me tell you, I did a lot
This is in 2025 that Jess was gone.
One of the things about my name, Vic, when Jess is in the hospital real quick, I tell him, I got to tell you something. And he says, what? I said, my name's not Vic. I mean, it's a name that I use, but I said, it's not Vic. He goes, what's your name? And then I said, it's José Ortega. And he's like, what? He's like, no, you're Vic to me. Your name is Vic. And I wear that name proudly. Zachary is his last name. And because I feel like his family adopted me, I sort of took their last name. So my name is Vic Zachary. And the name of my hair studio, which just came up a couple months ago, is called Vic Zachary Hair Studio. And I talking to God, I said, this has got to stop. I said, I'm hurting, and I don't want to hurt anymore. I'm I've been through a lot, and I don't know when you're gonna just come and just take me out of all of this. I said, I promise you I'm going to do everything that I can. And when I'm done, I'm just going to stand there and I'm going to wait for you. Things started getting a little bit better, little by little.
So now things starting to change. And then what happened?
I called my friend Maciel, and Maciel, she's my best friend.
Hi, Marcela.
And I love her. And I called we were talking, and then I was telling her my situation. She said, do you want the hair studio? She goes, because everybody in the building wants this spot. And I'm like, no. I said, give it to me.
Yeah.
I said, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Maciel was such a sweetheart. She left me everything that I needed in the hair salon.
Okay.
The shampoo bowl, the chair.
There you go.
So, you know, I have my own hair studio now, and
now
everybody's
the
welcome to it.
time comes.
It's my appointment only because it's in a building, and I have to sort of get you up there
So,
first.
Jose, what did you learn about all this? Tell me. Now,
So-
you know, all of a sudden, things started opening up, and
You
now
know-
you come back.
I went through what I went through. I don't know exactly why. And I think God let me go through it because He was ready to give me vindication. Everything came together like all at once.
All at once. Yeah.
You know, it was like, you know, when I was going through my struggles, I was struggling and I was not struggling. You know, but when,
was a rough
but when
time.
all the good times came,
Yes.
it like came like rushing at me.
Yeah. Tell me something. I wanna, because of time. I know we went.
We talk a lot.
But
a lot.
let me tell you something. I just want him to touch on one thing, and then we're gonna close up. But I want you to tell me now something that happened. You very, very exciting and interesting that we need to announce.
One good thing after another, one blessing after another, and all of a sudden I'm scrolling through Facebook and I see this thing on Facebook where it's called Style Icon 2025. It the people who created it is Elton John and his husband and Charlotte Tilbury, which is a makeup artist and has her own makeup line. So they're saying, you know, if you think you have style, if you think you have, you know, a certain look, or go ahead and register and send in pictures. And so I said,
so you sign up, and Jose's like, let me just do
yeah,
it.
let me just do it.
Okay.
What I didn't know at that, what I sort of, I had to read through it. So it has to do a lot with Elton John and the AIDS Foundation that he,
And
he
okay.
runs. So it's like I get an email
Okay.
from Style Icon 2025, and it says you have been chosen.
Out of a lot of
people. I don't know.
Thousands of people.
I don't know how many
Thousands
people.
of people sign up.
So
Yes.
the way this works is that. So you go onto the Style Icon page, you go on my page, you see all my beautiful pictures.
Tell us your Facebook page.
My Facebook is Jose Ortega, and it has a picture of the hair salon in but it's Jose Ortega, and I have a QR code that probably Natty will pull it up on the podcast, and there's a link also that you can click on, but you go on the link and you vote for me. Okay. So I maintain my place, and then I get to the top 20. And then a week later, they go to the top 15. So I'm in the top 15, right, at number 2.
Imagine?
And then last Thursday, we went to the top 10, and I'm number 2 in the top 10. It fluctuates because it depends on how many votes I accumulate. So
tell me what you're going to win if you win.
Okay, well, before I tell you that, I'm going to tell you about a little bit about how they go about it. So you could go on there, you have a free vote. The free vote is for me, of course. So even though you're not taking out of your pocket, it generates funds for the AIDS Foundation.
Okay. Oh,
so,
that's important.
Yeah, that's important. Yeah. So, and if you want to donate money, so for every dollar you donate, that's more votes for me. So like you get your free vote. If you want to donate, let's do $10. Okay. Let's say $10. You donate $10. Those are 10 votes, extra votes for me.
Okay.
So I've maintained my place. It goes from 2 and 1. We're at the final 10. We're going to go to the final 5 this Thursday. I either have to maintain my place or just shoot on up to first place so that I can win.
And what do you win?
So if I win, I get $20,000. I get to be featured in Flaunt magazine. And I think the most important thing to me is that I get to go to Milan, Italy, to the Versace fashion show. I think it's in the spring, this coming spring.
And what did I say? That I'm gonna do what?
And you are going to
I'm
go
gonna
with
go
me.
there.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fly and I'm gonna meet him there.
So that's what I win. It's not just me winning. It's all of us winning because this is a collective, thing. But share the link. It generates funds for the organization. Also, get people to vote, and hopefully, I'll be style icon of 2020. I do have a little bit of style. Like
Yes,
it has
you do.
yellow.
Yes, you do.
Well, so do you. Look at you.
No.
Yours has blue. So.
Before I end, and I'm gonna let him, close. But I want to tell you that all the stories that Jose told us, which are real, and everything that he went through, it really inspires me. And I want this to inspire you as well. We go through struggles, through difficult situations, through problems. It's kind of like they put us in a ring box, and they're beating us up, and we're like back and forward. But you know what? One thing that I know that sustained Jose, and that Jose had, God had him in the palm of his hand. And he did not let him go. Even though, Jose was going, I could, when he was talking and telling me the story, sometimes when we talked on the phone, kind of like drowning, and then he'll come back up, and then something was drowning him and then come back up. But you know what? God will never leave you nor forsake you. He will be with you all the way. If you're still here, if we're still here, there is a purpose for it. And you know what? Sometimes we think, well, it's going to be for me. No, why are we here to help who? To do what? And that is very, very important. And thank you so much. And the last words that you want to say for...
So, the last words that I want to say before I say thank you is that Nadia's right. We're here until we serve all our purposes. When all of this is happening to me, I feel like it's one purpose after another that is gone, and all of a sudden I feel without purpose, right? But then after taking care of Jess, I realized that my next purpose is about to come. Life is about purpose. We don't know what our purposes are a lot of time because we don't see them. The only thing I will tell you is that for self-purpose, I don't want it. I want to be able to inspire someone, to say the right words to somebody. And I made it a mission that because of everything that I went through, that my mission is to uplift everybody that I run into with, everybody that I talk to. I want to uplift them. I want to build them up because, like I said at the beginning, there are people who build and uplift, and there are people who tear down. And let me tell you, there's a lot of people who tear down and very few people who uplift you. And so that's what I want to do. That's what we want to do. So, having said that, go find out what your purpose is. Please vote for me, and Nadia and I love you.
We love you. Thank you.
With all our heart and soul. Bye. Thank you. I love you, Nadia.
Love you. Y'all take care.
Bye-bye.